Okay.
All right, I'm going to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission for the Town of St. Paul on Tuesday, September 16, 2025 at approximately 7 p.m. We'll do the roll call. Camden?
Here.
Tammy? Jason?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
And Gary is here, so we have a quorum. All right, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, number 3, I assume we don't have any public comments, right?
No, sir.
Okay. So we'll move down to the regular agenda. And
Can I say something real quick about the minutes?
you can.
Sure. So 4.1A, that should have been the minutes from July. I accidentally put in August, so obviously we can't act on them. But the other 2 minutes for May 6th of 2024 and May 21st of 2024, those are minutes that we've been missing that need to be approved. The set of minutes, I think it may be the May 21 that Leanne Stewart, her name's on at the bottom. Those are actually the minutes that she prepared. We went back, Alex did, listened to the tape, and vetted that it aligns with what actually took place during the meeting. The other set of minutes where you don't see a name at the bottom for the town secretary, the best we could do was basically listen to the tape, and Alex put down the motion, who made the motion, who acted, and that's about all we can provide at this point. But we need P&Z to approve those minutes so we can add them to the records.
I got one question about the 5/6/24 minutes.
Okay.
It references, we received an email detailing conditions and promises for the SUP. By chance, do we still have that email somewhere?
I could look for it. Do you want to remove this item until you see it, or?
I'm not, no, I don't think
Okay.
that's a reason not to proceed,
Okay.
but it referenced that in particular, to a particular area in town
Okay.
for the SUP.
Okay.
And I'm just curious, what promises and conditions related to that, granting that SUP were made at that point in time.
I can look for whatever, with an email, send that to the entire P&Z.
Yeah.
But it's also your call if you don't want to move on these particular minutes tonight.
I don't think it affects
Okay.
the approval necessarily of the minutes.
Okay.
I'm sure, we listened to the tape and, it is what it is. If we don't have it, there's nothing that we can do about it at this point in time. But I seen that, and that was something I was like, what were the conditions and promises related to that SUP?
We'll look for it tomorrow and I'll send it
Yeah,
to everybody.
thanks.
Okay. So we need a motion on 4.1.B and 4.1.C.
Okay, let's review 4.1B, the May 6th minutes. And once you get ready, I'll accept the motion.
I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Can I have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that passes. Let's move down to 4.1C, which is the May 21st, 2024 meeting minutes. And again, I'll accept the motion once you finish.
I just don't remember ever having 2 planning and zoning meetings within the same month like this.
That's what I said there too, but apparently.
It does happen. Depends on what the agendas are, really.
Apparently I made motions on both of them.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 21st, 2024. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. All right, do you want us to skip the fence thing? And
Yeah, I think it'd be better, since we have guests here this evening that want to speak on 2 agenda items. It's
Right.
probably best to go to their items. You can start with 4.3 or 4.4, whichever one you're comfortable with, sir.
Well, let's start with, we'll move to 4.3, the discussion on the Logan 24-acre development adjacent to St. Paul Road. Discussion regarding 3 proposed development options for approximately 24 or 14 acres? 24 acres?
It's 24 acres now.
Okay. So do you represent that, right?
Yes, correct.
So do you want to give us a little bit of overview?
Yeah, sure. My name is Raj Logan. I'm from Fairview, and we owned the 14 acre of the property before, and we are contract to buy the 10 acre on the front now, and we are closing the end of this month. We've done all our due diligence and things like that. So it's now total of 24 acres, and earlier in the 14 acres we were trying to do like a single family. The acreage home is what we plan to do, and we've added this 10 additional acres. So we had a discussion with Scott, and we are just trying to bring is there is a potential opportunity to do mixed use like a apartment with a commercial, retail apartment or condo or multi-family kind of a model. So where we can, if you can see a lot of the cities right now, Louisville and even like Grapevine and Rowlett and a lot of the areas close to the lake, they have done it little more commercial along with the urban. It's more of urban retail model. So I want to see if there is enough potential opportunities. That's something I might be able to develop in that 24 acre location. Maybe the one close to the residential side, we can leave it like a green space, and remaining area can be developed, and we can come up with a plan. And if that is not doable, then again, I will be going back to all acreage homes, somewhere related to one, roughly like, maybe I'm looking for a variance where I can do minimum like 1.15 acre, something like that, some of the lots. Not all of them, because right now that's all zoned as 1.5 acre. So some of them might be 1.15 and some of them will be 1.5 like that. So that is the plan 3, and there's another plan. We were also thinking acreage home along with the retail, but that option we don't want to do it, because if you're going to put an acreage home, I don't think the retail might not going to work well there. So there's 2 options we are proposing. Is one the acreage homes, that's our second option, and the first option is like urban retail.
Okay, so you scrapped the retail, you're talking now the acres home and the condo?
Option 1.
Yeah, option 1 and 3. I give 3 options there. So I'm going with option 1 and 3. The 2 is for it retail with the acreage homes. So the people who are going to come in the acreage home, they don't like retail coming in front. So the retail might not be possible if you put acreage homes there. So one option is put retail along with it's more of like urban commercial. So you might be seeing in many places. I can give some more examples if you want, and we can come up with a plan and I can bring it out. Or everything would be a complete acreage homes. So I just want to get an opinion from city and want to move accordingly.
Okay, well, so the reason you're not going to have 1.5 acre homes or lots, you're splitting it up to 1.5, is because you want to put more homes in there, or?
No, see our investments, because the one we are buying now also it comes to really higher price, and the land development cost, especially to get the road and cul-de-sac, all going to be concrete development and all, it's going to cost a lot more additional money. So for us to make this viable, we need at least some lower than like 1.5. Not all of them. We can have like kind of some might be like 1.5 and like 3, 4 or 5, we might get roughly 18, it's because the acre is 24 acre, but I don't think we can get one divided by 1.5 because as we give the road and all those stuffs, it's going to be, we might get 17, 18 lots if we go with the proposal, what I'm trying to say. And our budget doesn't like, the development cost and all those stuffs, we are considering, if we consider all those things, we need to get that.
So what I see is in Plan A, or the first plan, that's all lots. Looks like there's 18 lots,
Yes, correct.
but only 3 of them are greater than 1.5.
Yes, correct.
So the majority of them are less than 1.25.
Yes, correct.
So, my feeling is if the majority of them were above 1.5, were at 1.5, and there was, in other words, if the ratio was flipped and you was asking for a variance or approval for 3 or 4 lots that would be less than 1.5,
Mm-hmm.
You might have a chance. I don't, but with the, with it being what it is, where the majority of them are, just over an acre or, 1.2 acres, something like that, that's a pretty big variance.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other question that I would have, and we run into this in other areas, is have you looked at the drainage
Yeah, yes.
considerations?
Yes, correct. Yeah, those are, see, these are going to be like, done by proper contractors. We're going to do a grading and then a water flow and everything. So the back of the property is omnicore property. So if you see, it's going to curve to that. So we're going to grade such a way that the rainwater, whatever is going to come, it's going to go through that direction. There will be a proper grading will be done.
So what you're looking for?
It's more like a development. You can see like somewhere in Fairview, Lucas. So somewhere like that, it's going to be a really nice development. And we'll be putting at least 3,000 square foot or 3,000 to 5,000 square foot homes.
So
If I-
you're,
go ahead.
sorry. So you're looking for an opinion from us because this is
Yes,
a
correct.
very detailed drawing in
Yes,
reality.
correct.
It doesn't show, or maybe it does show water. Is there any water on the property?
Yeah, we have water on the property,
Okay.
on the St. Paul Street.
Oh, on St. Paul Street. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh. Okay, what I meant was like a pond or something like that, standing water. Is that what you meant?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, there's
You
no
have
water.
access
No,
to-
there's no flood, yeah.
There's a water main.
I'm saying the water connections.
Yeah, no,
Sorry
I
about
got
that.
that, I figured that much, okay. All right, so, again, I would agree with his opinion if they were closer to 1.5,
Mhm.
which may mean there has to be fewer lots, and I realize the cost is appropriate, because you're a businessman, I get that. And the council would be the one, but you're looking for an opinion from us as to which choice.
See again, like, I had a talk with Scott and, they preferably, because, that place can be really, recapitalized and, lot more development can be done over there. Because, if you see everywhere, especially this part of College County, we have a Lawan Lake, but the Lawan Lake access and park is not used really properly. And it can attract a lot of, travel and, a lot of the neighborhood communities. So who can come and use those, the park and area, like especially access to the water and things like that. So you might saw like, there is some developments in Louisville and, Gray Point and even Rowlett and all of those lakes. They have done really a pretty good development. That's all more of urban commercial model. So we felt as a investment company, I thought, that might be a good option where we can put and we can get really a nice one, because just opposite to our property, we have the storage. I think that's the ETJ of storage, and the right side of it is completely the Inspiration smaller homes. That's not part of the St. Paul City again. So this both are the ETJs of the property is almost surrounded by, I would say, 70-80% of it. It's our ETJs, and only the left side is that we have few homes. That side we can even leave a green space and have some dog park or some green space, and we can dedicate some land to city, however it is like a couple of acres or something, and so that there will be a separation from the whatever the urban development what I'm talking about from St. Paul city, and this bringing of the urban development, and again it's going to bring out a lot of traffic and money to the city, because as we go and get into the commercial portion of it. So that is in one kind of a suggestion that I'm bringing in. If city is interested, then I can work on that model, and I can show it up how does it going to look before I spend some more time into it.
Okay, so what you just described is another plan? Different plan that you haven't put here?
It was there in the one of the plan, I think.
I think it's talking about option 3.
Option 3, but it's only showing a multi-family with retail on the front, but that need to be rederived. It can be more, when I say urban development, it's going to have apartment, like those commercial and, retails and residential all going to be combined.
So the other question I would have,
We can even have like, high-rise, like 6-story building, something like that.
the other question I would have
Sure.
is, where would you connect sewer?
Sewer is on the St. Paul Road, I think near the Inspiration Community, so that can be put
But do
from
you
there.
have permission to connect to Inspiration's
No,
sewer
not
system?
the northwest, the
Northeast
north.
special utility.
Yeah, utility district has the sewer line going there. We might need to work with them to find it out.
I think you're gonna find that harder than what you might think.
Yeah, I can try to find it out, because a lot of my commercial property, I give easement to those people. So they have taken easement from almost 4 or 5 of my projects. They're putting a sewer line and things like that. So I have connections with those people. I can find it out. Is there a potential opportunity? So then again, there's going to be a development cost for pulling out the line, but I just need to, we can put some mud district or like, I don't know. That's something need to be worked out how we can do it on the expense side.
So, like I said, I would, there's 9 lots that are less than 1.2 acres.
Mm-hmm.
3 lots that are just over 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
With the current zoning and requirements for 1.5, I think that ratio is out of balance.
Yeah, I know.
And I would not be in favor of going in with a multifamily, apartments, condos, whatever.
The urban commercial. Mm-hmm.
I think that would introduce a whole set of issues that, we've not dealt with. And probably don't want to deal with.
Got it.
Is there still a house?
Yeah, the one
east
is, yes, correct.
It tore down and something else?
No, it is there already.
It's a mistake.
The house is there. I think it comes in one of the lots. So again, even if I do urban side also, that side I need to give space, because there's a lot of acreage home on the frontage of that road. So we might leave the house and we might just split it and sell it out. It's kind of a plan.
So the more land, before you had 14 acres, was it?
Yes, yes.
And then the more, this 10 additional, that is...
Yes, correct. The front of it. Front of the St. Paul.
It's all the way down to that Rolling Meadows Street.
Yes, correct.
The rest of it.
Well, you think it can tie into the sewer, but that's something that's probably pretty key, right? Because
Yes,
That
correct.
will
No,
decide.
we just need to start exploring with the North Water Waste District to find it out, what is the option and possibility. So really to spend time before, want to get city opinion, whether to go into the direction or not.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So I guess of these 3, there's 2 things I guess I would say, but we probably need to speak as one.
Sure.
But obviously the sewer thing could be a big problem, because if all these houses have to have septic, then you're gonna have to buy space for the septic sprinklers.
Yes, right.
The other thing is, I'm in agreement that it would be nice to see more larger lots that are closer, or that are at our ordinance level. Because then there's the variances on fewer lots.
Yeah, I got it.
And I understand that, you know, you're trying to make as much money as possible because it costs a lot of money. I get that. But you don't have any of these lots sold or any prospectus for anybody buying these lots, right?
No, I might need to, see, I live in Fairview, so I have a.
Oh, you live in Fairview,
Yeah, I live
that's
in
right.
Fairview, so I have a lot of custom home builders, you know, I have 7, 8 lots that I'm developing there.
Yeah,
So I have those developers and all those people, and maybe I just need to market with those guys. But this might, it's potentially possible for those builders to be showing interest to get into this one. But again, you know, in those markets, it goes along almost like 500 to 700 is where the lot sells for in Fairview and Lucas area. But I doubt, maybe we might get like 300 to 500 here.
right.
So that's what my expectation. So, but like, you know, for us, even the one we are buying is like 10 acre is $2 million.
Right.
And the development cost we are expecting close to $2 to $3 million. So even if you put $2 million, and earlier we spent almost like 4 years back, we spent $1.5 million to buy that one. So our cost is like 3.5 plus 2.5, it's almost like $6 million. So $6 million, and if I get like, I don't know whether I'm going to make 500K. If I make 300, 400, if I make 400K into, basically if I make 400, then 15 lots will just pay me back what I'm, you know, what about the interest and all, at least the three lots might give some, again, it's not going, I'm not going to make any money. If it's not going to work out, I'm going to hold on it and I'll maybe flip it out later or do something. That's the plan.
No, I understand, you're just trying to decide which way is best, so you
Yeah,
can
that's
make
it,
some
that's
money.
it. Yeah,
And
that's the
what
only
I
way it's going to make money. Again, like the acreage is not going to make any money at all. It's just like more of time and energy. So, but if we do urban commercial, there's maybe a potential way
Right.
of making money for both ends.
Okay, so Scott, how do you want us to proceed with this? Because I think I'm hearing,
Well, I mean, at least what I've heard from you and Cam is that you'd like to see larger lots and possibly provide a lot, 2 or 3 lots less than 1.5 if the others are at 1.5 or greater.
right,
So I think as a commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission, you need to at least give some sort of direction of what you're comfortable with. So Mr. Logan has a way forward. And there seems to be a consistent message. And if I'm speaking out of turn, Jason or Eric, stop me, because I think we were really looking for the larger lots, maybe with 2 or 3 lots being a little less than 1.5.
I'd like to see the ratio,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's 3 or 4 that's, you know,
Right.
less, you know, I don't know what the exact number is, but certainly, you know, 3 out of the 18 being 1.5,
Yeah.
you know, that's not the ratio that I would like to see.
Okay.
I would like to see, you know, whether we could do, you know, whether you can make it 4 or 5, right?
Yeah.
That's less. You know, depending on how it's drawn, you know, that might be workable. I think on those smaller lots, right? If you are going to put a 5,000 square foot home on there, that's a pretty good sized home. On a smaller lot, maybe those wouldn't be targeted for the 5,000 square foot homes. Maybe that would be more like a 3,000 square foot home. That might be okay, right? And then again, I think you really have to have a conversation about the sewer, because if you don't have a connection to the sewer, then it's a whole different ballgame.
Well, I don't think P&Z's considering anything that's
Understood.
going to be on the commercial side, which I think is going to take the sewer question out. Because I would assume if you're doing the lots, everything's going to be either,
Yeah,
will
sewer
be
is
septic,
septic, it's going to be septic.
leach field.
Yeah, leach field.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be underground leach field.
Well, then the smaller lots definitely, I mean, you're gonna have a challenge, you know, with, I mean, I, you know, lived down here for, 30-some, close to 40 years, and, you know, septic systems can be a challenge. You know, and on a 1.1 acre.
Yeah, again, it is how crowded the area is what important, because, right now if you see on this property, because, pretty much all our lot on the back side is all facing the Omni Court property, and because how many people are using the leach field is very important, and this side of inspirations are in the sewer, so there is none of them on this side is using, and again, the other side, again, if you go on all the way to the opposite or other sides, the people are using like almost like 0.6 acre or 0.5 acre, or like, even a smaller house with a septic tank. So that's going to be a problem for sure, I can agree, but this one, given that area location, because, we have so much of green belt on all around the back side and this side, so it should not be a problem, we have plenty of house was designed on 1 acre in Fairview, they are all like even 6,000, 7,000 square feet home. They never had any problem with sewer, and I don't know, maybe what are the area you guys are facing, but I never seen any issue in Fairview right now. And we have a lot of 1 acre lots there, and 1 acre, 1.5, and now 2 acres. They have like three kind of zoning. They give RE1, RE1.5, and RE2, and there's a lot of 1 acre community with almost like I would say 100 homes easily.
Yeah.
And none of them never had a problem unless until it is designed properly, and we're going to use the proper techniques. So I just want to add it up.
Okay, so the bottom line is, we're not against you doing this. We don't really, I don't think we're in favor of the commercial part.
Got it.
Okay? And you already said the third one you didn't like yourself. So we're really talking about the residential one. I think, you're more than welcome to come back, but you should probably figure out, and again, this is just my opinion, he gave you the same opinion, and these guys aren't saying anything, so I assume they were on board, but they can certainly speak up in a second. But you need to figure out septic or not septic, and the rules come from Collin County. So you're going to have to touch base with them based on when you come up with a lot size. And, we said the same thing about the lot size, roughly. Obviously, if you start out with 18 and there's only 3, when you have to cut it down, it's not 18, it might be 17, 16, and you add a couple large size lots, then the ratio will flip. And we like that idea too. Okay, so there's not much else we can tell you with the drawings that we have, because there's details you need to figure out.
Yeah, I got it.
But we're not against it, based
No,
on the one that we just said is,
So
I think is our preference, right? Do you guys agree?
I just want to add up one thing. For Collin County, minimum norm is like 1 acre. That's what they have. So to put a septic, you need to have 1 acre. And now with all the, like you want to give like easements and other thing on the side additional, they are asking 1.1. And I've done like almost 30-40 lots in Selina. They are all like 1 acre or 1.1 acre.
Right.
And like that. So that's the norm on Collin County terms.
Right.
So it can be done, I'm just bringing it.
Yeah, no, it can be done. I'm not concerned about that. As long as you don't build a house so large that it has no place to spray except in your neighbor's yard, which is not legal.
Yeah, I got it. Understand.
I'm not trying to be funny, but
No, I
basically-
understand.
So I think there's some things that you need to address, but you can certainly come back. We'll listen to you again. But I think I didn't give these guys a chance, so
Yes, sure.
go ahead if you guys want to say.
For me, return on investment just isn't a sufficient enough reason for a variance, whether there's 2 or 15 or whatever. Because presumably you knew the ordinance when you bought the lot, right? So
Yeah,
it's
I know.
1.5. That's how I see it.
The rest of the town isn't going to be very happy with us if we say, yeah, go ahead and build 20 1.1 acre homes.
No, I got it.
It's just not something that's, supposed to be done around here.
So I think you've kind of heard a consistent message. Do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm good.
I guess,
Yeah.
I've heard Jason say 1.5, of across all the lots, because that's the zoning. Eric, are you the same position?
Right, yeah, I
Okay,
agree with
okay.
Carrie and Ken that 1.5 is 1.5. And if we say, yeah, go ahead and build 21.1 acre homes,
Yeah.
then
I think,
Yeah.
what, you know, when I've been involved for variances in the past, right? And getting to your point, right, there has to be some type of hardship. In other words, with the layout of the land, you know, I can get, you know, I'm just gonna throw numbers out there, right? If there's 20 lots, right, and 2 of them are carved up in an irregular manner, right, such that they're not 1.5, that's, you know, I couldn't sell those because it's, you know, carved up in some odd shape or whatever. That might be a consideration, right, to come back and say, that's a hardship, I can't sell it, right? I can't carve it up in a manner where it's 1.5 acres, right? That would be a case where you could come ask, well, I want to make that lot 1.1 acres because of its odd shape.
Right.
Or I could, you know, or I'd face a hardship in selling the lot. Would that be
in
a?
an even way, you're saying just one of the 20 lots, not
Well,
10.
without having a true plat, right, I can't tell you what it would be, but I'm just giving an example of what I would view as a hardship, right, to ask for a variance.
Right. Does that make sense, Mr. Lowe?
No, I got it.
So, you know, the financial picture isn't going to be a hardship.
Correct.
So basically how the lot may be configured geographically, it has to be configured a certain way, and that's a hardship, so. I'm hearing that you're wanting to focus on 1.5, but if there's a hardship for a specific lot or two, and you can present that hardship, P&Z would probably consider.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, because there's some interesting angles in this spot, so.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Sounds good, thank you. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. All right, and then,
4.4?
okay, we'll go to 4.4, the development of the Pinnacle Edition Lot 2. You guys want to give us a briefing?
Sure.
Get a picture of
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate your time. I'm Sarah Norman Baxter. That's new. I just got married on Friday, so still learning my new last name. I'm representing CB Capital. We've developed over 1.5 million square feet of best-in-class self-storage across the state. I don't know if you've had a chance to look, but I've printed out some, if you don't mind me passing these out.
We've got
You have them? Okay, perfect. So that's our typical product of what we've done in the past and what we're looking to do just down the road here next to the Montessori School. We're looking at acquiring 10 acres of land and developing along the back portion of the 10 acres, roughly 130 gross square feet of storage. Would like to go up 4 stories to provide a service to your growing population. We recognize that it's definitely something that your neighbors might utilize, and so we would like to work with y'all on the best way to deliver that on this piece of land, since it is sort of a questionable zoning category at the moment. We're not exactly sure what the land is currently zoned, so we'd like to work with y'all to achieve the appropriate zoning classification to be able to deliver that product.
And were you also going to, you were going to talk about a retail?
So that is something we're definitely willing to discuss with y'all and explore. Retail is not our main focus, but it is something we are capable of delivering and have delivered in the past. It would just come down to the question of whatever the appropriate zoning would be to grant us that ability to provide both. And then, you know, we're still in the very preliminary stages of site planning to figure out the best way to have that conversation.
Right.
So the building out front would be a separate, like retail of the,
That's what we're thinking right now, just for one, ease of access of keeping the 2 product types separate, so that way you don't have retail customers entering the secure self-storage facility and vice versa. We have in the past done a combined product, but honestly, we're just here for, your initial feedback or brainstorming session, what works the best. We think retail in the front along the main thoroughfare makes sense since the self-storage facility doesn't necessarily need road frontage, since it's a quiet, low-traffic generator, whereas a retail commercial component would be more appropriate along the thoroughfare.
Okay. So a lot of parking spaces on there just for storage units as well, so.
Well, we typically only need about 10 parking spaces on average. The typical self-storage user comes, drops their stuff off, and maybe comes back a year from now or 6 months from now. Again, this is just a very conceptual, if we need to have, based on whatever parking ratio is required by the code. We've got 10 acres to work with, so we're happy to delete more parking, but depending on whatever commercial potential retail component is up front, that may be a conversation we are also willing to have.
P&Z, bring to your attention that council has discussed this particular track, and they were the ones who recommended that I go back and speak with CB Capital about the possibility of putting retail on the property. And so that's why there's retail on there.
You said it'd be a 4-story building?
That's the intent, yes, sir.
Would it be possible for the P&Z council to have some say in the aesthetics of the structure?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We've worked with multiple communities on the facade, building materials, and parapets, and other architectural elements that they would like to see. It's definitely something we want to have a collaborative conversation with y'all on what's going to be the most aesthetically pleasing for your community. As you can see from the, packet we've sent around, we've done a bunch of different types of facades, and a recent development we're working on in the Houston area, we've gone hand in hand with the neighboring HOA. We let the HOA board pick the colors on the building. So we can have as many conversations or as few conversations as you want to have about what the building looks like.
Well, and I know I'm throwing a lot of different things out.
Yeah.
Because it's brainstorming. What about lighting? Some say in the lighting?
No, great question.
Okay.
So we can provide, we typically do downlighting, so there's no light trespassing across property lines or anything like that. Timers for safety and security, of course, motion sensors, that sort of thing. So, we're very aware and very sensitive to the surrounding residential, and definitely don't want anybody to be opening up their bedroom curtain and annoyed by a bright light at night. Yeah, definitely something we've worked with before.
And could I just mention, sorry, I'm Jonathan Vincent, working with CD Capital. I know there's some state law limitations on what you can do with facade treatments. Y'all are probably well aware of that, but lots of, as Sarah said, lots of communities we worked in, we've found ways to cooperatively, incorporate some standards that the community would like to see. So, I don't see that as an obstacle. We just have to do it the right way.
So what Jonathan's referring to, it's been a while. Years ago, cities used to be able to have regulations regarding the type of facades, but a lot of that was pulled away from us a couple legislative sessions ago. So if you have a developer who's willing to work with you and take your input, that's a plus. Because we're really kind of restricted from doing that at this point. So.
I guess the other question I have is related to water runoff in that area. There's, I believe, if I'm thinking correctly, there's a big pond on that property, and then on adjacent properties running down where the water naturally drains currently.
Correct.
There's also additional, water, storage ponds. Depending on how much concrete, flat roofs, what, hard side, whatever, how much water runoff, would be, redirected down that current drainage.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's definitely something we will need to work with our civil engineer on, but we're very aware of the existing pond that's, I believe there's like 2 or 3 inlets already connected to it, and then the Montessori school has a drainage easement that runs all the way across the property we're looking at purchasing into that pond, and it's just surface draining right now. So they'll obviously need to do some pond calculations, but that's part of the reason why we're looking at acquiring all 10 acres, because we do understand that there will need to be most likely some sort of additional detention built, but that will of course come with
Yeah.
a civil engineer's map.
We'll see what Parker Road does to us,
Yeah,
I was
how
gonna-
much water it adds to it.
I was going to point out the concept plan they sent us yesterday. If you look, all the parking's behind the building, which I think is a benefit.
Right, I would agree.
So you're going to be able to create some sort of screening as well. That's going to look a lot more pleasing along Parker Road, if it stays that way.
right, right. And again, very conceptual concept plan, as you know, we got it to you yesterday, so still a work in progress, but wanted to come here, have the conversation to open the dialogue and get your initial feedback on the end product.
Sarah, how do you see the conversation moving forward regarding the type of retail? I mean, what kind of feedback would you want from P&Z?
Well, I think, you know, first and foremost, the self-storage is the component that we would want, I guess, some sort of initial assurance that that's something we could work towards to be able to deliver to the town. And then as far as, you know, feedback on what kind of retail you're looking for, we would love to have that conversation with you and develop that. I would probably think we would, and again, this is all very initial, the self-storage would come first, and as we, you know, figure out conversations of what could go there or would go there, it would develop, but obviously the
Would the
self-storage.
retail be part of the overall zoning? Say we do a PD, Jonathan, would the retail product be part of the PD, or?
I would assume so, if we did go the PD route,
Okay.
sure. And, you know, PDs, just generally in any
Yeah.
city, it, let me put it this way, gives everybody more of an opportunity to have a
Right.
conversation about conditions
Right.
and uses and things like that.
Well, concerns that I would have is 4 stories is the largest building in this city.
Tallest building in
Yeah.
St. Paul.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, put a flagpole on top, you know, put a blinking light on it, I guess, I don't know.
Sure, sure.
Sarah, do we know how many, what that would be feet? Because I know, you know, different types of uses have different, you know, levels.
Right, right. So we're working on one that is a 4-story right now, and I want to say with our architectural elements, you know, the parapets and stuff that make the roof look higher than it is, we're topping out at 50 feet.
Yeah, that's what I would expect.
And then your, you know, low eave heights around like low 40s, mid 40s.
I would add the observation, and this goes along with what Scott was saying about the retail, you know, a nice retail strip screening the parking. With the storage being set far back into the site, you know, visually, that the retail would also, I think, help screen it visually. You know, it'd be much less impactful being back in the site if it were up front.
And I think with as many architectural elements that would go on a potential retail building, that might almost look like a 2-story building from Parker, or, you know, the Boulevard, and then even further set back. I think the lot itself is like 780 somewhat feet deep, if I remember correctly, so it's going to be pretty far back off the road.
And then when we start talking about the look of the building and, you know, assuming you have landscaping requirements, things like that, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be done to mitigate the impact.
What's behind that lot?
It's open field right now.
What, open field?
Yeah, but where that water drains, I'll say it, I mean, that's a 5-letter word, drain drive,
Yeah.
which we've had drainage issues on Drain Drive before.
There's hardly any ditch on there, drain.
I'm just saying, We've had drainage, that's why I asked, because,
Yeah, I know.
you know, I looked at this on Google Maps before, you know, the meeting, and you know, I'm familiar with the ponds that are there, and I can remember many discussions in past council meetings about other storage facilities we have
Oh, yeah.
in the city at this point in time. This wouldn't be the only storage, this would be like, I'll just say we have multiple, how's that?
I would like to think it would be the nicest though.
That's a possibility. I'm just saying. Anyway.
But your plan would be to take care of drainage?
Yes,
Right?
yes,
A
absolutely.
Retention pond or something that would not just dump it off on drain.
Right, and the nice thing about the product we build, being an interior, self-contained, looks more like an office building storage facility, is there's not all the drive-up rows that are, you know, impervious coverage, collecting water and shooting it downriver, so.
Yeah, and I think the empty fields, aren't those sliver lots? They're like deep lots, but they're.
They may be, I,
Yeah, they're just like those shotgun lots. that go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not very wide, they're about as wide as the house that's beside
Yeah.
it.
And I would assume also, you know, aside from the zoning, that, you know, probably the town engineer would review everything.
Yeah, yeah.
oh, you'd have to submit, yeah,
Yeah.
all the engineering drawings, the drainage, you'd have to do the drainage study and, I mean,
Absolutely.
there's,
Yeah,
Scott knows, you know, the requirements.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard.
Sure.
perfect.
So would we need the fencing around it, the house to the east? is residential?
Commercial property that butts up against residential requires a fence
Well,
to be built.
the storage unit would have a wall around it for security anyway, right?
Well, most of our facilities actually don't because they're all internal, and so we've got, you know, the access controls and keypads and stuff. There's no external roll-up doors that would need a security fence, but we certainly would definitely be willing to talk to you about screening against residential. That's stuff we do all the
Yeah, I
time.
believe the ordinances, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, require when commercial property butts up against
Yeah,
residential property, there has to be, you know, an appropriate separation.
yes, whether that's I'd have to go back and look at the code, whether
Yeah,
that's a
I-
landscape screen or something, but
Yeah,
yes,
It's
that's,
it's an 8-foot masonry wall.
Right.
Yeah.
But that may be something we want to talk our way through a little bit once you actually design.
Yeah, I think as you start to get into it, like you said, you
Yeah.
know, you'd have to have those discussions at that point in time.
Absolutely.
But I do know there's verbiage in there about separation.
certainly, yeah.
So none of the parking is thought of as like vehicle storage?
No, we wouldn't be doing vehicle storage or car rentals or anything like that, no. It would all be in interior climate control inside the
So
building.
these are indoor storage units.
Yes, sir.
That's what all the pictures look like.
Right,
Yes, sir.
right, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's something we could include in the zoning, correct, Jonathan, that there would be no storage of RVs on site?
Sure, I mean, if that was the will of the town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
we got enough of those on
It's
drains.
assuming that all agree with that.
I mean, we've done RV and boat parking in the past, that's something we're used to doing as well. Obviously, those would be screened too, we're used to seeing that. But this product we're presenting, the main product is of course the interior climate control.
Right. Right. And at the moment, you have no idea what the retail would be.
Correct, but we would love feedback if that's the will of the town.
Some of that may depend on the configuration of the retail. I'm not a retail expert, but I know different types of retailers obviously have different square footage requirements.
Yeah, I was going to ask Jonathan or Sarah, obviously this is a new development, that's the retail part. Would your next step be to do like a market analysis to see what would fit best, or?
I think that would be the plan.
Right.
And then that's going to dictate the end retail product. We've gotten some initial feedback on typical depths of a retail product that's separate from the storage facility. So again, all very preliminary.
So I think what you'd like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you want to hear from P and Z this evening is if they're comfortable with storage, and then talking about what the retail could look like.
Yes, and at least designating, again, we've talked about, you know, in the PD language, designating maybe a section up front for future retail with the storage use in the back, yeah.
And, you know, as per the discussion, I mean, there's a lot of detail to be worked out, but I think
Right.
conceptually at least, we'd like to have an idea that, you know, this is something worth coming forward with.
Yeah. So, Sarah, I'm saying everything about what you just mentioned, so when you say future retail, so you're not planning, obviously the storage is the main driver, and the retail is secondary, but I was anticipating that the retail would happen side by side. Obviously, the storage is going to go up, but the retail center would be happening as well. Because that'd be key, I would think, to creating some of the aesthetic value that we've been talking about for the community, but I don't know if that's a conversation you've had.
It's something we'd be willing to look at. I think it would
Right.
just come with underwriting and what makes sense for the timing and,
Right. Because we would not want to leave it open-ended. I think that'd be a mistake on our part.
I agree with that.
If we're going to go through all these efforts
Mhm.
to work with you on the storage and the retail, I don't think we'd want to leave it open-ended, build the retail whenever. I think it'd have to be some sort of timeline.
okay,
I mean, we can think that through.
okay,
Yeah, we
Because I think that's going to be a driving force, especially after talking to council.
sure.
So,
Yeah, that's something we'd happily look at, absolutely.
okay.
And I think is the plan, their preliminary plan, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, Scott, but is this a 1.5 zone area also typically, or, I know the maps being discussed is,
So, I'm sorry.
We approved this one time to be for church uses, SUP for church use, but they backed out.
they back out.
Well, so both the properties were zoned SUP, the Montessori school, and the 10 acres they're wanting to purchase was zoned SUP for a church, I think it's called Good Faith.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
All right. But
That's how I knew that.
the town took action about 8 months after approving the SUP for Lot 2, which is the 10 acres, and rescinded the SUP on Lot 2, but also rescinded the
Oh,
SUP
Montessori.
on Lot 1. Now, both those ordinances referenced a base zoning of R1.5, but both those ordinances have been rescinded.
So,
So the next question I'm being asked is, that I've been asked, is, okay, well, what is it zoned? And I cannot find any evidence that it's ever been zoned R1.5.
so I know from past history, for something like that, there was a process we always used where, landowners within X, I don't remember exactly what the X is, within X number of distance from that property, right, can provide feedback,
Oh, yeah.
to the city,
Absolutely.
for, against, whatever. I mean,
So when if we move forward with the
Right.
zoning, we'll send out notices to the butters, typically 200 feet. I don't think your ordinance is any different.
I don't remember.
So yeah, I mean, we'll go through the whole process.
Okay.
So yes.
I think it's good use of the land, at least I see this type of storage unit offset from the road that you don't even know it's there. I mean, there's several on, Country Club and Wiley there that, it's like, it's behind, like that flooring store and stuff.
Right.
It's like, there's storage units I don't even know that are there because it's offset from the road and stuff already.
Well, I think that'd particularly be true if there was some type of, as Scott's been talking, some type of retail on the.
Even if you're reducing, God, I hate to be putting this out there because it's their money. And of course, it's your decision on what's going to happen. But just thinking it through aesthetically, retail, if you were to do a building on the front that maybe almost 2-story, where you have office and retail, a mixture, but a really nice facade, and, it's really going to take away from the, I think it's, some of the aesthetic concerns you may have with another storage facility being there.
My biggest
So what you
concern-
put up front can really set it off.
Yeah, I agree with those comments. I think my biggest concern is the feedback we'll get on 4 stories. A 50-foot building within the city. I mean, we've typically tried very hard, I know over the years, more than one meeting I've been in, they talk about preserving the rural country feel. I realize Allen's just up the street, Wiley's over here, you know, Lucas, I mean, everybody's pushing in on us, but I know that was always, you know, I've heard that multiple times over the years.
Okay.
So I think you got our feedback. I would like just throw in again, we do, I think that retail is important, one of the key points. I think you've got enough information probably to go forward would be what I think, with obviously some sensitivity to the 4 stories, obviously, but, or make it, I don't know, architecturally you can do whatever you need
Yeah,
to do.
conceptual,
And
as, you know, as
it
Scott
is
said.
back off the road. I don't know if it's back up at the end of the lot or not, but, you know, that probably would detract with whatever's up front, maybe would block it as you're driving down, however fast they're going down Parker.
So maybe we need to kind of talk about the next steps.
Okay.
You know, but I think we've heard at least enough feedback from the P&Z Commission. And sorry, I know you have to talk to your team as well. But maybe a little more, and you gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, but make certain you get whatever information comes back next, gives you more detail of what you're looking
Yeah,
for,
Right,
okay?
exactly.
So maybe more elevations,
Conceptual
conceptual.
elevation, how, you know, layout
Right.
of how we, you know, like you talked about, if we put retail up front, how would that lay out on the 10 acres?
Right,
And then just a concept of what the elevation would look like.
right.
Right.
And then maybe some, you know, bullet points or examples of how lighting's going to be controlled, potential landscaping. So, you know, you come back with a little bit more of a visual that P&Z can,
Yeah. And please don't forget the drainage part, because we do have drainage problems. I mean, conceptually.
there could be
Right.
an aesthetic feature with that as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will say, it's gonna be hard to do a conceptual
Yeah,
drainage, because
yeah.
that's going to
I realize
involve
that.
paying a
Yeah.
civil engineer a lot of
Yeah.
money to
You gotta have
do
it,
math.
Yeah.
Got to have an engineering study done.
Yeah.
But
But yes, I understand your concern, there will certainly be.
Some options you've used in the past that would
Okay.
address that.
Absolutely.
So we'll get to more detail as we go to that step after that, but
I think there's an answer to that we can talk through that, you know, as far as the drainage, that can really set that side off too. It'll make it look real good. Talk.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it is.
For me, it's less about what it looks like for the road, but, you know, the people that have to live, you know, next to it, that's really where my concern would be.
So we have Pinnacle on one side, and who's on the other side?
I think the other
it's
side
a
is
nice
the corner.
range there.
At one point in time, I would
They've got that brick and pipe fencing.
Yeah.
like a big
Yeah,
gate.
one side's the Montessori
So
school,
maybe
the
what
other
we need
side
to
is
do
the
for the next meeting,
intersection.
Yeah, but I can never see it.
Which is kind of
Invite
crazy.
them to the meeting where we're talking with them about this project. and their feedback.
There's house back there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's on the back. I mean, I don't know if it's vacant land.
Well,
Well,
I think it's like.
I think it's narrow, deep lots.
Yeah, you can kind of see it on the map on.
Yeah, they're about the width of the house it's sitting on. So they've used that as probably a way to get out of the backyard or get into the backyard. Because I remember, Eric, you were here when they had that big discussion, right? Or were you not?
If I was, I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, you would have remembered. But on drain,
Right.
there's people that have really narrow but very deep lots.
Over on this side, and then the lots around
Yes.
this one.
And so I think it may look like an empty lot, but I think it's their lot.
Yeah,
Way back.
I would agree. From Google Maps,
Yeah.
I'll say, from Google Maps, there's nothing there. But it is part of those houses to the
I'll have
left.
to look that up.
But you couldn't build anything on that thing, because there was
No.
nothing there because you couldn't get out.
Right, right.
I think it's those deep lots and
Yeah,
very narrow.
they're real, yeah.
Well, I will at the very least, when they come back with another presentation, invite the one property owner that's adjacent with the pipe fence, so they can sit in. I think that'd be a good exercise to go through.
You might invite those guys off of Drain Drive that are,
Kind of catty corner.
yeah, to the left of them. They will,
Okay,
if you
They're
look
kind of
at.
getting sandwiched too, because there's like a whole other facility in front
Oh,
of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, when you build your house, the width of the lot.
I hear you.
You're kind of trapped.
Does that help, Sarah, or do you all need?
It does. I think,
Okay.
you know, today's discussion was mainly just to get initial feedback that that product would even be something you'd be willing to entertain. So it sounds like there is a path forward, and we appreciate the opportunity to have the conversation with you. Absolutely.
Okay.
I've got 3 pages done.
Great. Thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Safe
Thank you.
travels going back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say hi to Bill.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
See you all, thank you all, we'll catch up.
Well, I would read the next agenda item, but I don't find the paper anymore. Funny.
Yeah.
I think the other one, the next discussion will be the fence ordinance, right?
Yes.
Even I don't have
That's
that
where
page
you'd
in
like to
front of
go.
me anymore, I don't know what I do with it.
I think it's 14.
Yeah, it's 4.2, but I can't find that page. That's the problem.
Oh, you're talking about
I
the
found it.
agenda?
I found it, okay. Yeah, I turned it upside down, I couldn't see it.
Is everybody ready?
Yeah, and so discussion on the fence ordinance, so 4.2.
Well, we're finally here. We finally have a fence ordinance. The red tracking marks, obviously, that are in there were prepared by our town attorney. He's reviewed the ordinance. There's only one change that we've made to the, well, I actually haven't included in the ordinance yet. But council had come back and asked me, when we're considering this fence ordinance, to consider an exception to Parker Road as far as a fence in the front yard. And I included some very general language regarding front yard fences. And obviously, this particular section would be applied, would be incorporated to the appropriate section in here, and I will get to it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I think Leah had some comments regarding it as well. But really, you know, council provided a variance, I'll get what the address is for the home over here on Parker Road. I think you've probably seen it lately, with the fence in the front yard on Parker Road. And after providing a particular variance, council thought, well, you know what, there is a significant amount of traffic on Parker Road. I think it would be a good decision on our part to at least incorporate some sort of language for the Park Road corridor. If your house is adjacent to Park Road, you should be allowed to have a fence a little bit higher in the front yard rather than the 4 feet.
Especially now that the road widened,
Right.
the road's closer to the front door.
Right. So that language is what I put in the memo. It's not in the ordinance, so I'll incorporate that into the ordinance if you agree with the language. And of course, have the attorney look at it one last time as well also.
I got it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't have any problem with that, as long as they follow what is in the ordinance prior to that. And
Right.
including meaning driveways that come out, you can't have a 6-foot, so they can't see anything when they're pulling out of Parker. So they have to stick with what we put in the ordinance before. And then I think there was something that Leah put in, but that's also in the ordinance too, that that it can't really be solid. It can only be a certain percentage solid.
The other thing, we talked about the visibility triangle.
Yeah.
We took that a little bit further. I actually cleaned that language up a little
Okay.
bit and actually put a map in it if you look
Okay.
at the definitions section.
I did see the map. And I'm okay with that, I just want to make sure that that's clear in there.
Yeah.
And the one other thing that I guess I must have missed all along, or maybe it is new as well, is that I know we're starting to redo the ordinances, so I get that, but I did smile when I saw that, okay, if you don't comply with the fence ordinance, you're going to get charged with a Class C misdemeanor, and I realize that's a fine in most cases. I'm not going to lock you up for that, but I just thought that's the only ordinance that has that in it.
Well, I mean, so everyone has to, when you pass an ordinance, that's the law.
Yes.
And when you violate it, no matter which ordinance, it's a misdemeanor.
Yeah,
And,
I understand that, Scott, that was the point.
I know,
But it was like, that's the only one that has it in it.
Well, the reason why I bring that up is because several months ago, when we were first talking about the fence, not the long, several months, a resident had commented, why do we have ordinances where we're talking about citations and.
Right, and we don't have a way to do it.
Misdemeanors. Well, every ordinance you pass, I mean, it's a law.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, I'm not trying to sound god awful about it, but it's a law, and you break the law, there's a penalty.
No, I agree,
Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
except, yeah, I hate to have to look at the defense ordinance to find that language that applies to all the rest of them.
And the other part, you know, it may just help a little bit too. We just recently finished putting together our code enforcement procedures.
Yep.
And council was very adamant that we did not want to be heavy-handed, that we want to work with our community and everyone in the community work together. So we actually went back and revised the first procedures we had presented to council, and council approved, because we had one person in the community who reviewed them and said, hey, you know, these are a little, in their opinion, was a little heavy-handed.
Right.
So council asked me to go back and soften them a little bit and provide a little more time for property owners to comply. So we actually, there's a total of 28 days for a resident. So, and you have the initial 14 days, which get a notification letter. And then we go back, do they comply? If not, then we send another notification letter, another 14 days before it's actually moved into a significant code enforcement issue. So you have a total of 28 days to comply if you're a resident. If you're a business, you have 14 days to comply. So council's been pretty adamant about it.
Yeah, no, and I'm in agreement with it. It's more like, it should that be kind of pulled out and be a general statement in reference to something that applies to everything?
Yeah, I mean, we could pull it out.
I'm not saying get rid of it, I was never saying that.
Yeah.
But if you have it as a general statement, then you only have to modify it in one place.
Let me check with legal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a legal guy, so,
Yeah.
but it did make me smile a bit. Geez, I'm gonna get hit with a $500 fine. I'm not, but,
Yeah.
okay, other than that, I didn't have
All right.
anything else. And did you guys have anything? I'm gonna beat this thing around.
I got a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
So in 374B, you started about the fee schedule, and you made a comment about adopting it under this, whatever.
Yes.
Is it, so the question, I guess, was it written that way such that if the town fee schedule was updated, that you didn't necessarily have to come back and revise this?
Yes, that was the initial intent,
Yeah.
but I think we didn't have access to the fee schedule. That was the same concept.
I hear you, but I'm bringing it back up, right? I mean,
You know, you forget
if we
things.
put it in here, then if we want to change it,
No.
and change the fee in the future, then do we have to come back and?
No, well, we're going to move towards a master fee schedule, and if there's a fee change, it'll be to the master fee schedule, not to a particular ordinance.
Right.
Okay, that was my question. I didn't quite understand what you put in the comments, if that's,
Well, I originally had put the language master fee schedule, and then our attorney came back and said, have you adopted a master fee schedule? No, we have not. We have a fee schedule. But, so we're working on preparing a
But
master fee.
that's the intent.
That's the intent,
Yeah.
exactly.
that's,
Right.
that answers my question.
Just a point I will for that.
And then there's a section in there, if I've got the section right, 377, talks about an electric fence. And that, 377A says an approved setback for the original fence must be a reasonable distance.
Oh, yeah.
Back to your kind of comments in some other section, is that too vague? Because reasonable distance is up for debate, right?
Yeah,
I may say 6 inches is reasonable, you may say 3 feet's reasonable.
yeah.
I think we just didn't know what is the real number.
I agree, I'm just, back,
Yeah,
I know, I read this thing 2 or 3 times, and then I went back through it today
Yeah.
one more time, specifically looking for that type of stuff, like you say, we can't be vague,
Right.
right? We
Right.
need to be, now I can, if we say a minimum setback of 6 inches, okay, that's, we may be, that's reasonable, but they at least have to meet a minimum, right? I mean, I don't know what's the right
What the right setback.
the right setback is, but I think we need to have a minimum setback and then beyond,
There should be a number as opposed to reasonable.
exactly.
Well, let me ask
Most
you,
people.
are there any suggestions on the number, or do you just want to
I think we
research
can,
it?
is there a way we can figure out what that number is? Is there somebody, like, would the engineer know?
When it comes to power lines, I'm pretty sure it's a 6-foot easement.
Well, but this
When
is,
it comes to
this is like,
transformers and stuff. But
an
this is
electrical
low
fence,
voltage, yeah.
you know,
that's
that
very
like-
low stuff.
I mean,
We don't want to let you.
okay, I grew up in the country. We kept cattle away from rubbing the fences. You run a single wire down through there, but it had an insulator about that far off the fence. You know?
I was all thinking like you could do like 4 to 6 inches.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if that's
Typical?
typical or not. I mean, and I don't know exactly where we go even to find that information.
Yeah.
But
Maybe the engineer would know, but maybe it's.
we could ask you,
electrical.
for lack of,
I would think this would, I mean, I would assume people who, individuals who are in the farming or ranching community who know that better than the rest of us.
well, like I said, we used to have insulators that you'd go to Tractor Supply and, you can nail them on the post and, some of them were only a couple inches. I mean, but anyway,
But we should have a number.
we should have.
Well, what is the purpose of setting it back?
Well,
And I think that's what would really dictate how far you set it back. What is the purpose?
and that's kind of where I was, I was reading this and I was like, you got warning signs, right, every
Right.
75 feet.
Right.
I think the purpose would be such that somebody didn't, necessarily walk up to the fence and, if it was right next to the fence, within an inch of the fence or two, that
Hit it.
hit it, right? Let me tell you, I don't know whether you ever touched one of them.
Oh, yeah.
But, they will knock you to the ground if they're set upright. You only do it once,
Yeah.
on purpose anyway. I don't know what, like I said, you can get on Tractor Supply's website and look for I mean, I don't know
Well, what I'll
what,
do is I'll see what other cities may have.
if they have something like
If they
that.
have something like it.
I don't know if
not,
Lucas would have any.
I'll look at Lucas. Yeah, that's why I probably ought to look at some communities that are somewhat
Yeah.
rural, metropolitan area. Yeah,
Anyway,
Yeah,
That
I've
was-
seen some places do like a second fence, they
I've
have
seen
the
that,
outer fence,
we,
and then they do the inside.
I've done that before. You buy these they're little bitty, almost like rebar that you drive in the ground and you put the electric fence.
But I think the 4 to 6 inch little studs is more common.
I've done it both ways. I mean, growing up, I dealt with a lot of cattle. But anyway, that was that one. 377A. So when we talk about material, let's see. So we specifically call out, here's what they can't be made of. Did I? Okay, so that you can't use. I thought in the version that I was reading online, in 7, 8, 7 and 8, we say corrugated metal panels upon town approval. But then in 9 and 10, we've got the word metal in there. I got 9 in there, but I see it in 10. I don't see it in 9 on this one. I don't know.
I see it in 9.
Yeah, do you see it in 9 too?
Yeah, the second line down.
Well, on this one, the one that I see, it says that slats of any material, including but not limited to the upright metal at the beginning.
Yeah, so 9 and 10.
So I don't know if, I don't know if we've got a conflict there, we say you can't corrugated, metal panels or galvanized sheet metal, but then
Without.
we've got,
Why do we do an approval of the town?
I don't know.
Do you remember that, Gary?
I remember the material for a fence was pretty touchy. A lot of people didn't want to be told what they could make a fence out of, so we listed the stuff that was kind of what I would say was ridiculous, is you can't use this stuff.
Right.
And then the other stuff was, okay, if you get approval from the town to use that material. So if it wasn't listed and you wanted to build a fence out of that, you had to get the town approval. So it was, it was,
If
I would almost say on 9 and 10, you take metal out because you're speaking to it already.
that's,
So I would take metal out of 9 and 10.
9, 10, okay.
Because you're already talking about it in 8 and 7.
Yeah, that was kind of my,
Right.
as I read through this, I was
Right.
like, well, but we.
yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Because we don't need to add confusion.
Yeah,
Sometimes we probably put it in there twice, maybe it didn't come out after we came up with it.
I hear you. After a while, you look at this stuff and you go cross-eyed. Let's see, in 378, in A, in 7, which one do we, so the one I was looking at home, it's in reference to maintenance. It says the property owner had to do regularly maintain all fences.
Number 6,
Is that number 6?
a property owner shall maintain any and all fences,
Okay.
including those existing prior to the adoption of this article. And then number 8, property owner shall regularly paint or stain the fence.
That's it. It is number 8. Okay. The problem I had there was when we say property owner shall regularly paint
What does that
or
mean?
stain, yeah, what does that mean? Again, in the interest of trying to remove anything that could be, subjective going forward, right?
Yeah. I agree.
And I can understand how we ended up unreasonably, because it's like, how do you know when it needs to be stained?
Well,
When it chips, when it looks like it's rotting, that when it got hit with a hailstorm and it's got much wool. So it's hard to say.
It's almost, you want to get, because we use this in a few of the sections where you talk about, especially when it comes to non-conforming,
Right.
when 50% of the fence is blocked, falling down, you have to repair it.
yeah.
So maybe what you do, when 50% of the fence, I don't know if this,
Needs
you
to
got
be
to
painted.
find what's faded,
Needs to
is
be-
faded or chipped or, maybe
I'm okay with
a
that.
more defined.
I mean, that's reasonable.
Something along those lines. I just,
Okay.
I went through this last time
Mhm.
with, with a little bit different mentality.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And then B should be removed. B is revised
Reserved.
or reserved. What are we reserving?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then the last one, I've got it says 3710. What's 3710?
Page 10.
No, it's 303.07.010. Somewhere in there we got reasonably.
Yeah, it's here, third line from the bottom. And is reasonably necessary. Is that what you're looking for?
Yep, that's on the town administrator shall extend
Oh, yeah.
the replacement time that is reasonably necessary. Yeah, so where I was headed on that, and you mentioned something when you was talking about it, about, well, they've got 14 days or 28 days, and then how many times can you extend that, right? I mean,
Actually, this whole section, I'm starting to let property owner to whom I notice the violations, he shall repair or take other actions. 30 days. So the 30 days pretty much aligns with what's in our code enforcement
Okay.
procedures.
okay,
And
And after 30
And then,
days.
quite honestly, I don't think, actually, it's left up to the code enforcement officer. So our procedures are.
well, we
pretty
got
well-
town administrator or code
Yeah.
enforcement officer.
So the section that talks about the town administrator code enforcement may, upon written notice of the property owner,
Extend the time period for.
Yeah,
I think we have to take that out. And again, because we have code enforcement procedures in place already,
Okay.
that they would have to follow.
Okay.
I'm comfortable, well,
I think the
The-
issue we were thinking about was,
to be
let's
honest,
say something happened to your fence, like somebody ran over it,
yeah,
and you're waiting for insurance to cover it, and you can't make the 30 days.
well, then, that's where we have to be cooperative and work. But I'm sitting here even looking at the first sentence, 30 days. 30 days is more than what we have currently in our.
In the ordinance?
We allow 28 days
Okay.
before we move to the code enforcement procedures.
I can guarantee 30 was a random number, we thought.
Yeah, I just, when I got to, again, I just went through it this time with a nitpicking attitude, being nice about it, right?
Right.
Not
You know,
using any other words.
No, and it needs to happen, because if
Right.
we get too many things where we don't know really what we're talking about,
Right,
because after 3 or 6 months, we won't remember.
right. So I mean, I don't know whether
I'm
30
thinking
days
about
is
that
in,
whole, I'm thinking the whole section
yeah,
of 3.07.010 needs to come out.
based on we've already got
We already
code
have
enforcement.
procedures, right.
I would be fine with that too.
Yeah.
I just didn't like, when I got down there and, reasonably, and I went, well,
Yeah,
what's reasonably?
yeah, I agree.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
reasonably set back.
I think we
Yeah,
removed
I
that
mean,
section.
it was-
Yeah, I would be fine with that. And you'll be glad to know that's the last note that I had on it.
Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. It's nice to have retired
Well,
people.
I had to, I started going through it and I'm like, I'm gonna have to write this down because there ain't no way that I'm gonna remember this.
I appreciate it.
So, all right.
It's the old thing that if you look at something 100 times, there's things you get blind to.
Well, like I said, I read over it like 3 times, and different things, and there was a few things, and then it got to be a few more, and I'm like, okay, I gotta write this down, or when we get to talking about this, I won't know which section I'm talking about or anything else. All right.
Are there any other comments?
Anything else?
No, I think those are all good. Go ahead.
Well, so originally my comments were largely around the definition of fence, which has been remedied pretty well. Is there do we know, like, along property lines, is that well known? Is there a setback? Is there an easement that defines what that is? And reasonably, it makes sense, right? along property lines.
You're on the definition of
Yeah, is
fence?
it within 6 feet? Is it within,
You can actually be almost on the line.
You can actually,
On your side.
to my knowledge, yeah,
Yeah.
you can put the fence right on the property line.
Right.
And-
well, I guess my question is farther back, like, is it?
Oh, how far off the property
Right,
line
is
could you put it?
is it 2 feet, is it 4 feet, is there an easement definition somewhere that
No, I
says?
think you can set.
Easements are,
Well, if there's an easement there, then that's one thing where you might not be able to put a fence, but as far as inside of the property line, I think you can put a fence anywhere inside.
What do you think, Jason, by setting off the property?
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm reading it very naively, right? Like, you say along property lines, but, if I'm running parallel, how far from, how far away parallel? Is it still along the property line?
Yeah.
Is there a definition anywhere that says that, or is it, say, within 3 feet or 4 feet, or whatever that is, before it's not considered?
Parallel with the property line.
Yeah, well, it can be parallel, I'm just saying, if it's far enough back that it's not considered in this definition.
Along the property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember a citizen was struggling to put up a fence on his property with one of the councilmen, one of the former councilmen. He had kept applying for it, but for some reason was either turned down, I can't remember the reason, because on drainage or something.
Yeah, so
Well-
that particular issue, in that subdivision, you have cross-lot drainage, and there are easements, and there are specific language on the plat for that subdivision that speaks to nothing can be built
in the drainage.
in the drain, and that's specific to
Yeah.
that subdivision.
So that addresses fence building in
Right.
that ordinance.
Well, and there's wording in here, I forget which section, but pretty sure I remember reading wording in here that talks about, you know, drainage, you can't build, fence in, that affects the drainage.
Yeah, that's in here, I know it is.
Yeah, I don't remember which, I didn't have a problem with the wording, so I didn't write anything down. But I remember reading that.
But you can drive through some of the neighborhoods, and there's obviously a lot of people who built fences in the drainage. And it just, we can have a whole discussion about that, but
Well, I think what's going to be interesting is where it talks about, once this is adopted, it's retroactive.
yeah.
So, I can tell you, just in my neighborhood, I can look in at least 3 directions from the back of my lot that there's fences in violation of this. So, I would
Again,
like to have it addressed.
Again, the town doesn't want to be heavy-handed, and I don't want to misspeak, because the town's been working on a fence ordinance for a few years now. And I've been here a year, and it's taken us this long just to get to where we are.
Places that it can't be built.
Because the town's obviously sensitive towards regulations, but there's also been just as many complaints about fences. And so there has to be some sort of
Meet in the middle
guidance.
somewhere.
Meet in the middle.
Yeah,
And again,
you gotta make people aware.
Right, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but, it's been vocalized repeatedly by the governing body that we're not going to be heavy-handed. And, But we also realize we need to put something on paper.
There needs to be something on paper, and people at least need to be made aware,
Right,
right?
right.
Now, whether, you give them 30 days, or whether, you've been notified,
Right.
show me progress,
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, well, we still have one more left.
Oh, we do? Which
Yeah,
one?
4.5,
Oh, did we
the overlay district?
I
Well,
had
let's-
a
Oh,
couple
yes,
more
yes,
things I
yes.
wanted to-
Okay, so he's still got some,
Okay.
I didn't want to,
All right.
so everybody packing up. so we just
Nope,
got one more
nope,
left.
you're right, here it is.
I just wanted to comment a couple things. The barbed wire thing that I was always nitpicking whether or not it was supposed to be 6 feet or 6 inches. Looks like it got addressed that it's
Yep.
So that's the
6 feet.
commercial.
Yeah.
Commercial fence.
Commercial.
Now it specifies 6 feet for commercial. And also, you brought up the exception for the tall fences.
Parker Road.
Parker Road. And so was part of that discussion have a distance from the actual road so people can pull out, or?
Well,
is that
There's
just-
still gonna be a visibility triangle.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're gonna, and that's quite honestly, with the exception, is why I beefed that up a little bit. The definition we have and the little graphic I included, for that very reason.
Oh,
So if you go back to the definition section and look at the visibility triangle, whether it's a fence or whether it's a gate, they're gonna have to follow that visibility
Yeah,
triangle.
and I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it.
Okay, 4.5, discussion of the,
Are y'all gonna recommend approval to council?
Oh.
Or what,
oh, sorry.
or do you wanna clean it up and bring it back, or?
I think,
I think we're close enough where, or do you guys want it to come back?
I would motion with the changes
Yes.
that we've discussed, that we go ahead and recommend the ordinance to council.
Okay. I'm gonna go through those changes real quick to make certain I covered all of them.
Okay.
So I'm gonna incorporate the Parker Road extension language in the section of the ordinance where we talk about fence height. And then we're gonna remove the language regarding, or I'm gonna talk to the town attorney about removing the language regarding the $500 fine in this report.
Because it's going to go into a central place, right?
Right. And then the electric fence setback, I'm gonna look into that and make any changes that need to be adjusted. We're gonna remove section 3.07.010, which was abatement.
Right.
Oh, and then on section
3708, about the maintenance.
3707, we're gonna remove metal
Yep.
from number 10 and number 11. And then on section 8, under section 008, I'm gonna include some language, 50% fence, faded or chipped, I'll come up with some language. So it's a little bit clearer.
Yep.
And then on page 10, I'm gonna remove reserved, and then remove section, well, I just talked about that.
Yep.
010. And that's it.
Yeah, that covered my points.
So we have a motion from Cam with these changes.
With the changes you just described,
Yes.
we are going to approve it and send it to the council, or recommend to the council that it be adopted.
Yes.
That's what you said, right?
That's what I said.
And I just need a second.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's passed.
Okay.
And now, 4.5, the overlay. Sorry, it's getting late.
Yeah, that's all right.
So, I know I put a hefty overlay district in there for you
Yeah.
to look at. So council, at the last meeting, encouraged me to work aggressively in drafting an overlay district for Parker Road. And they like to move on quickly. And the reason why I sent you the example, the one that's in here, and I could have provided you several others, it's very detailed. It's the downtown area of Melissa. So there's a lot of work that can go into an overlay district. But the first step I'm going to take to hopefully get some consensus from P&Z and then a recommendation to council is what areas is this overlay district going to cover? So I'm going to prepare 2 or 3 options as far as where this overlay, what it would cover. Because we need to identify what's the purposes of the overlay district, what do we want to cover. This council's really looking at, we want to protect the future interests of the town. There's obviously some things that have come up recently that is generating this need. So I'm going to first develop 2 or 3 maps of potential areas, let you look at the maps, see if you'd be comfortable with potential overlay district being along these certain corridors. And keep in mind, an overlay district, you still have a base zoning, let's say, I'm just using this as an example. A residential zoning, that's your base zoning. An overlay district, I'm going to use this just as an example, let's call it like a food and beverage overlay district. Would be on top of that base zoning, but that allows you to put additional restrictions in place. Regulations that aren't necessarily in place if you're to zone it just commercial, and they be uniform along the entire Parker Road corridor, depending upon that base use. Does that make sense? So you don't have to go back and make multiple changes in multiple districts in order to have a uniform approach towards a particular corridor, like a downtown area or like Parker Road. You can have a uniform development pattern. And keep in mind, it's not just about new development, it's about redevelopment too. Because things will redevelop when we're all long gone. And that's really what council's going to focus on, put some sort of regulations in place where we regulate what's going to be happening along Parker Road today and in the future. Is that?
Yeah, it makes sense because there's a few hot spots, right?
Right.
Parker and Park, when that development is partially underway right now.
Well, yeah, I think you'll be surprised, because I started working on a map a week ago. And, I'm looking at aerials and looking at different things, and where properties are and who's around them. Because when you're looking at an overlay district, you got, no different than what you mentioned, who will it be abutting and what will that impact be? And those are all the things we'll take into consideration when we start to get to the point where we're actually putting something on paper, an actual ordinance. So if we have a residential property that's abutting this overlay district and we want to protect their interests, then we put an emphasis on that as well in the overlay district. But there are some opportunities where areas could be redeveloped. That could be part of this overlay district that you'll probably want to take into consideration. And I think it will help when I bring a map and you see some of the aerial, where these locations are, and you'll start to go, yeah, we probably ought to.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I struggled with reading through all the Melissa
Right.
stuff and trying to figure out how that would apply
Here.
in here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, number one, we don't have a downtown
Right.
area, we don't have a historical area,
Right.
we don't have, the buildings and the facades. And so I
thought about providing you a food and beverage, but I thought, if I put that in, everyone's going.
I mean, I'm not opposed, I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea, I'm just not sure, I have a hard time grasping exactly what it's gonna look like, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's why, it's kind of like the conversation we were having with
Yeah.
Sarah and Jonathan. What's the next step? We need some visuals. So our next step, and I know I probably should have done a better job, but literally it was like last week, council said, we want to move on this, move on it now.
Right.
I thought, well, I have P&Z, I want to at least, and this obviously was not the best document to put in front of you as far as what an overlay district can include. But I'll tell you how significant it would be, and of course, we're not playing on anybody, but if you look at areas like the Tollway or Preston Road, when you're driving down the Tollway from Dallas, and you go into Plano, someone who's worked in this area for a long, I can tell you when I'm in Plano, just visually. I don't need to see a sign because I know they have an overlay district and you can see the difference. Whether it's on Preston Road or whether it's on the Tollway, you know when you're going from one city to another. And it can make a significant difference in how a city develops and will look in the future.
Yeah, like I said, I'm open,
Right.
we'll see how.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I didn't make it through the Melissa one either. I stopped.
I mean, like I said, you know, that's the advantage of being retired now, right?
Yeah.
I read through this thing 3 times.
Well, and that's how significant some of these districts can be, but they don't have to all be that way. Something, you know, whatever we put together from Parker Road, it's not going to be this significant.
No, that's why I said I struggled
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
Well, I don't remember Melissa being this built up.
Well, Melissa's great.
no, yeah, well,
Town now?
drive down 380 and, I mean, I can remember when there was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you go to Farmersville and,
Yeah, but now it's.
yeah, I mean,
It's crazy now. You know,
So more pages to this than there is people in Melissa.
well, not today.
I was gonna say, there's a lot.
Not today.
it's been growing like crazy.
I mean, you know,
And that's, it was really just an introduction, Gary.
Yeah, no,
And that's it. I know it's probably, what is this?
But it did get me thinking,
Yeah.
so it wasn't like, I got the concept, I just didn't, the Melissa thing was a little bit, I'm not close enough to Melissa to
Yeah.
care that much about Melissa, but I don't wish him any harm.
I'll tell you why I turned to Melissa. I think Melissa does a good job.
I think
of,
I'm sure they do.
of-
I was trying to think what areas besides Parker would be, and, you know, I got dragged back to Country Club in Parker, because, you know, with that Tom Thumb going in one corner, and this side's already developed a lot, it's got a CVS, and, you know, if that extends further, and there's a house in the middle of that, and that fast food thing,
That
you
could
know,
be
that
one of
gotta
the
change.
areas that we expand to.
Then
Yeah,
that could be a lot of retail in that area
Yeah.
over time.
yeah,
So I think I got the concept, I just
yeah.
didn't have the time to finish, Melissa. So are we done with that?
Yes.
So can I have a motion to adjourn? No? Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.